Hi guys, today I'll be taking a look at a gaming switch, the Akko POM Silver. Let's get started. But firstly, a disclaimer, these switches were sent to me by Akko, I wasn't paid to make this review, and I will remain as impartial as I can as per usual. In the meantime, I hope you enjoy this unboxing. Now, Akko has a new switch lineup, the POM switches, and as the name suggests, they are a fully POM switch. Also, a POM stands for polyoxymethylene, a very stiff, low-friction plastic. Now, Akko has released 3 POM switches, 2 of which are linear and 1 tactile. These linear ones in particular are designed for gaming and are sometimes known as a speed switch. Essentially, they usually feature a light weighting, a high actuation point, and a shorter travel distance. This switch has all 3 aspects. Now, pricing wise, these are about €16 for 45 switches on Akko's website, which places these at the budget end of the price bracket. And this is what they look like when disassembled. Feel free to pause the video. Now, let's move on to the switch categories. On-center key presses are smooth with very minor binding, basically almost perfect for a contact-based switch. Off-center key presses feel slightly more bindy with a few more hints of scratchiness for about 50% of the switches, but I wouldn't say that these are scratchy per se. Overall, these are very smooth switches, especially when compared to the NK creams from a few years ago, which was also a fully POM switch. 7 out of 10. Now, according to Akko, these switches have an actuation force of 43 grams at 1mm and a bottom-out force of 50 grams at 3mm. So from the numbers, it's clearly a gaming switch, but the actuation point doesn't feel like it's at 1mm, it feels closer to around 1.2 to 1.5mm, but I can't say for sure without proper testing equipment. Now, in terms of the weighting, they're very light given their gaming switches, so this isn't surprising. But as you probably all know, I'm not a big fan of light switches such as these, so I didn't exactly like them at all. Overall, neither the actuation point nor the shorter travel affected me, it was just the light weighting as expected. 5 out of 10. Now, I know I've said this a few times before, but these have got to be the clackiest switches I've ever reviewed, and it doesn't even surprise me that it's an Akko switch at this point. Other than that, I don't have much to add, apart from the fact that they fit my build really well, and I really like them about that. 9 out of 10. Now, take a listen and enjoy. Now, given the light weighting, I made lots and lots of silly typos, more than I'd like to admit. And that's all because of the weighting. However, everything else was pretty good. Just remember that these were designed for gaming, not typing. With that said, they also performed very consistently across the board. They gave me no issues regarding smoothness, the higher actuation point or the shorter travel distance, which I do get bothered by when it comes to many gaming switches. It's the reason why I haven't reviewed many of them yet. Overall, I've said what I needed to say. Everything else is great apart from the weighting, which of course comes down to preference. 5 out of 10. Now, gaming is where this switch truly shines. I usually don't like many gaming switches because of their aspects I mentioned before. However, the real downside to these is their weighting, and that's the only thing. Everything else is pretty much top tier stuff. Speaking of which, this performs very well in faster paced games like TF2 for example, but what about slower paced games? Well, same thing really. I mean, yes, there are more instances of scratchiness, especially during off-center key presses, but nothing game-breaking. Overall, you're getting a really good deal if you're buying these purely for gaming. It's almost as if it's designed for that. 8 out of 10. In conclusion, these are relatively smooth, lightly weighted switches with a huge emphasis on gaming, and in my opinion, it achieves its goal. The final score for this switch is 34 out of 50 or 68%, which is highly respectable for a first try. And that's the end of the review, and next time I'll be looking at the POM Pink, the other linear switch. Until then, take care and goodbye.